Morning, everyone. I wanted to wish you a happy Monday and get on here after I got back from the grocery store. And I wanted to make sure this week did not get away from me like last week did. So I thought I'd pop on here. And I'm going to do a little bit of a 180 for this recording. My cousin Kathleen, who my husband refers to as my cosmic twin, because we truly are. Um, we've had many lifetimes together, and we've been besties since we were, well, all our lives, basically. So she had contacted me and said, when you get done with the Beatitudes, why don't you do something about animal communication? You have so many great stories about all your animals through the years. And I'm like, hey, yes, because I do want to talk about a myriad of topics on this channel. And I thought, okay, maybe because I was not getting the gelling of the Beatitudes, I wanted to take three and just incorporate into one last video because I thought I'll stick with what feels most pertinent for these times. But the information just wasn't quite gelling last week. So understanding all of the energies that we're in right now and the celestial influences being really like on overdrive in some cases. Well, I'm not alone in this. I can't possibly be in this community of good souls. So I, I decided, okay, we're going to play and we're going to talk about animals and communication with animals. And I have to tell you that my animal communications go way, way back, like from the time I was little. And so I will first share this. And this picture right here is my dear sister, who is 7 years older than I. Her bird is in the cage in the background, and I'm in that little bouncy chair, obviously just a wee baby. And then my sister is holding back a Boston Terrier. Now, that Boston Terrier belonged to my very first babysitter on our block, who lived, I think, two or three doors down from us. And she bred Boston Terriers. And I was looking for some other photos that I know exist, which is me at about, you know, 5 months old, sitting upright in the middle of all these puppies. And I think that was the occasion my mother walked in and saw me in the kitchen with all those puppies. And I guess she looked quite aghast. And my babysitter said, "Oh, Jean, you don't have to worry about her one bit. Those puppies are clean as they can be, and I mop that floor twice a day. There's no way she's going to get any any germs from those puppies." And actually, I imprinted on those puppies, and I have loved that bull face for the whole of my life. And I always love Boston Terriers. However, over the time, I have discovered the terrier breeds don't get mad, they get even, and sometimes they do both. So I've been reluctant to have Bostons myself. However, we did get a Boston when I was 5, and we named him Pudgy, and we only had Pudgy just a few months before our home sold because we were moving. For those of you, I've said before, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was born in the city, raised in South San Francisco, and then we moved to the Oakland side of the bay to a little town that was up and coming called Fremont. And so our home was in the process of being built, and my parents were trying to find a temporary apartment to rent. And back then, they didn't want kids. They would allow pets, but not kids. And so it was a bit of a quandary to try and find some place till our home was finished built. But anyway, my parents had given the dog to another family, and that probably was a godsend for the dog. But but anyway, that's my early years with pets. Um, we really didn't have any pets our years in Fremont. I begged and begged for a dog, and it just didn't happen. My mother didn't want to have any. But in 65, 66 timeline. My sister graduated high school and was married within a few months of graduating high school. And so that summer and spring, well, spring and summer, um, dyslexic though I be, was all awash with wedding preparations. And I was not quite 11 then and was underfoot and always, I always had to be in the middle of things. So the neighbor had a pug, and that pug had a brother, and he was just a cute little Dickens. And I used to sit at the fence and put my fingers through the slats of the fence and pet the dogs, because the brother was staying over with Bambi, who was our neighbor's dog, and they were needing to rehome Nikki. And so my mother said, "Oh, I'll get her for Betty Jean, because then she'll stay out of everybody's hair and she'll be so enamored with the dog that we can get things done." So that's when I got a dog at 10. And Nikki, I was looking for photos and I couldn't find them. I was running into that a lot. But Nikki was an adorable little pug. He never had weight issues, which I think they've been bred so much that now they have food issues. Well, he loved to eat everything. He dearly loved oranges. We found out his owner had an orange tree in the backyard, and every time an orange would fall, he would tear out it and eat the inside of the orange. So anytime my father cracked open an orange at the sink, he had that dog right at his heels wanting orange. But Nikki was my bestest friend. When we moved after the wedding, we moved back to the San Francisco side of the bay, and I became what seemed like an only child, because my only sibling had married. We had, changed locations. I had no friends there. And so my dog was my best friend for a while and allowed me, actually, in walking him. I met two little old ladies around the corner from us who the mother had a pug when she was little, and her daughter saw me walking the dog and, little girl, come up here, and can we see that dog? And is that a pug? And so needless to say, they invited me in for cookies and tea, and I would go up there almost every day after school. From that point on, they babysat that dog when we needed someone to do that. He was a gateway for me to feel less lonely. So I think that was part of his role. Unfortunately, my freshman year of high school, this is now 3-4 years later, and I'm making friends and I'm busy, as most tweens can get at that age. And so my mother said, "Okay, you've got 1 month to find him a home. He needs company, and you're not paying much attention to him. So you've got 1 month. You either rehome him or I will." And so I kept thinking, oh, she wouldn't do it, which is silly, because my mother was total Aquarian, very pragmatic. And when she laid down the law, and she didn't usually backpedal at all. So sure enough, I came home from school one day and no Nikki, and I searched and searched and searched. And when she got home from work, I asked her, what happened to Nikki? And she said, "I told you had a month." Well, it was a month today, and I rehomed him. And we did find out that he passed away about 6 months later, and I felt really bad about that. But I didn't have another dog. We had animals in college when we lived off campus. We seemed to be a house that a lot of stray animals showed up at. So, but there was no ownership there. They were just animals that we took care of and found homes for, and that sort of thing. And so really it wasn't until my 20s when I got what I consider my first official dog. And